Glad to be here. I think it's 15th year I've been doing this. 12 at Florida and the 3rd at South Carolina. We feel like we got a better chance this year at South Carolina. We feel like our talent level is the best it's been in 3 years. We feel like we certainly can compete with our SEC competitors, and we're going to try to show it this year. We think we have a team that, if the ball bounces our way a little bit and we play and coach well, we got a chance to compete for the SEC. It's the first year that we've talked about that. The first 2 years we simply felt like if we won more than we lost and won the bowl game, that'd be pretty doggone good. And one of those years we did that. We won the bowl game. The other year we didn't. But we're at a level now that we think we have the talent to compete for the SEC championship. So I'm not saying we're going to win it, and I'm sure Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee, all three of those teams and their players feel the same way. But anyway, it's a little different atmosphere, a different approach we're going into this year than the first two. So I'll try to answer your questions now. Well, again, coming out of spring doesn't always determine your team because of the incoming freshmen. And obviously our enthusiasm was sparked by our recruiting class this past year. To be ranked number 4 in the country by ESPN.com, Lemming and Rivals had us number 6 in the nation. So from what I've heard around South Carolina, that's the highest we've ever been rated probably in recruiting. But again, sometimes those recruiting ratings don't always pan out, but sometimes they do. And I've learned it's better to be rated up there pretty good than way down below. But again, we do have a lot of incoming freshmen that could help our team. Now back to your question, the only really unknown areas are our center and 2 guards. We had 3 seniors in there. Both guards were walk-on players that end up being starters at South Carolina. Our 4-year starter, Chris White. So that's areas we need to replace. And our receiver, of course, Sidney, he went pro early. And but we signed 5 freshman receivers coming out of high school. So it's going to be interesting to see how fast they could develop. But our defense should be much improved, really should be much improved. I read where we returned 10 starters. But all of them are not going to be starting this year because we've added some better players at certain positions. So we do have more defensive player type, SEC type defensive players, I think, than we had the first couple of years. How much is our offense? Oh. Well, it's based on that. It's based on our kicker, Ryan Suckup, who is one of the best in the country. Just based on a lot of things. Our running backs, Corey Boyd, Mike Davis. We've got a 5th-year quarterback, Blake Mitchell, been going in his 3rd year as a starter. That seems to be always advantageous when you got that 5th-year quarterback. So we got one of those going. Just all those things together, but our defense should be much improved. Which we've been 9th in the league in defense last 2 years. Offense really made some strides last year. We weren't very good early, but we sort of got the offensive line settled about mid-year. Savell Newton came in and really helped our offense and helped the team. And then Blake came in sort of the last 4 or 5 games of the year. But it finished 3rd in the conference, actually offensively 1 yard behind Florida, which was 2nd. Of course, LSU led the conference in offense and defense. They may have had the best team in the conference if you looked at the statistics, but the statistics don't always tell you who the winner's going to be. And as we know, Florida made the plays when they had to win the conference and win the national championship.
In addition to it being a conference game, Steve, is this thing to compete realistically is a must-win at UCLA in September?
It's not a must. Obviously, extremely important. someone just asked me that we may play in the toughest division in the country, with Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, and of course Kentucky was 8-5 and won 4 conference games last year. They've improved, and Vandy, they beat Georgia last year. We haven't done that in a couple of years. But the thing about it is that the winner of the divisions now usually has a loss. Not always, but you can lose 1 or 2 and still win your division. That's been proven. And you can still win the SEC with 2 losses. I think Georgia did that a couple of years ago. So it's not the end of the road, but obviously to get to the championship game, you've got to beat your division rivals. So Chris Smelly is doing pretty well. I don't know how much you'll see him. I don't know what will happen. Hopefully he'll be much improved going into preseason practice. We got a lot of guys that are really model players. Jasper Brinkley is our only preseason SEC all-conference player, inside linebacker, led the team in tackles, and he's a wonderful guy. In fact, he's here today. Corey Boyd, our starting tailback, he is really a good back. He and Mike Davis, I think both of them averaged around 4.5 a carry last year. They were really good, and we're actually more of a running team than a passing team, and we'll probably be that again this year. Of course, you sort of like to play according to how the defense plays you, but we've not been good enough to really throw more than 30 times a game. We need to hopefully throw about 30 and run about 40 or more if we could. That's sort of the kind of team we are. Who? Whiteside? Where you been, man? He was a senior last year. We hadn't seen him about a year and a half. Noah was a senior last year. But like I said earlier, we did sign 5 high school kids. Chris Culliver may be the fastest player on the team. He's going to get a chance out there with Kenny. Jason Barnes is a kid that played at Independence High School in Charlotte, so they throw it all over the place, and he's another 6'4" player. Looks a lot like Sidney, as Joe Hills, a player from down in Palmetto, Florida, right below St. Pete area down in there. So those 4, Deion LaCorn from Ocala will have a shot in there. Is that the 5? I think that's the 5. And Matt Clements, a player from down in Fort Myers. So got 3 kids from Florida, 1 from Charlotte, and 1 up in North Carolina. Those 5 will have a chance in preseason to see if they can jump in there and really help us. Yeah, we talked about that we need to settle on who our best linemen are. We didn't settle on that to about the 5th or 6th game. We tried 1 or 2 freshmen here and there, 1 or 2 older guys here and there. It was a completely different lineup, I think. At the end of the season, with the exception of our center, Chris White, Jamon Meredith went from right side to left side. So only 2 of the 5 that started this season ended up playing the last half. So it took us a while. We got to do a better job as coaches trying to identify who the best players are. So we'll try to do that this year quicker than we did last year. Oh, we got some talent in there. Yeah, we got some talent. Kevin Young needs to come on and play guard for us. And Lemuel Jean-Pierre, we moved him over from defensive tackle to offensive guard. I got a feeling Lim may come in there and be a starter. Webb Brown's the starting center right now. So we got some big, strong kids that need to really come on and play well.